Hello and good evening. It is a Wednesday and you are watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. Thank you so much for making the time and for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. Here are the stories making the headlines tonight. The president today received a special message from DRC President Felix Tshisekedi, updating him on the peace process in that country, reaffirming his country's commitment to the peaceful resolution of the conflict in the eastern part of the Central African country. We give you more here on Newsplus. South Korea supports Zimbabwe's bid to get a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. South Korea's ambassador to Zimbabwe announced the endorsement to Zimbabwe's politics hub today. We give you the insights later on. Now, there was a double tragedy as 13 people were killed in two separate road traffic accidents. The other one on Zimbabwe's Harare-Nyamapanda Road and the other one along the Harare-Mutare Road. Police confirmed the two accidents, calling for caution ahead of the festive season. And in sport, excitement is in the air as the Zimbabwe Warriors settle down for the AFCON finals in Morocco. Team captain Marvelous Nakamba is confident his charges are not there to make up the numbers, but to bring positive results. Our top story this evening, the Democratic Republic of Congo has reaffirmed its commitment to a peaceful resolution of the conflict in the eastern part of the country. DRC Minister of Regional Integration, Flori Robert Anzuluni Isiloketsi, made these remarks after paying a courtesy call on President Emerson Mnangagwa at State House in Harare, where he delivered a special message from Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi, updating President Mnangagwa on the peace processes initiated in the US and Qatar. Over the course of his tenure as SADC chairperson, President Mnangagwa's administration convened at least 3 SADC meetings specifically focused on the conflict.
It allowed me to update the president on 2 peace processes that are ongoing. The first one was in DC, where the DRC and Rwanda recently signed 2 agreements, 1 peaceful agreement and 1 trade agreement. And the second one is still ongoing in Doha, where the DRC is in a dialogue, in negotiation with the rebellion called AFC M23, which is backed by Rwanda, to also find a peaceful solution.
Now, the minister said the purpose of the visit was also to seek support from African countries to ensure lasting peace in eastern DRC. On Tuesday, Minister Isiloketsi also visited Togo and Congo-Brazzaville for similar discussions. He was also scheduled to travel to Zambia and South Africa today. Now, the visit also highlights Zimbabwe's continued role in regional peace and security efforts as African leaders push for dialogue and diplomacy to restore stability in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
I think the best way, as His Excellency President Tshisekedi says every time, is a peaceful solution. So he's looking for a peaceful, it's very important, he's committed to find a peaceful solution. And he's taking part to all the positive initiatives that could help to get a peaceful solution.
Now, here's a quick breakdown of what's been happening in Eastern DRC over the past 5 years. Now, the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has unfolded over the past decade, marked by repeated flare-ups and fragile peace efforts. After the withdrawal of M23 rebels in 2015, Congolese forces supported by UN peacekeepers continued operations against other armed groups. However, by 2017, M23 fighters began resurfacing after years of exile. Despite the election of President Felix Tshisekedi in 2019, instability persisted, and in 2021, M23 re-emerged forcefully after nearly a decade of dormancy. From late 2021 through to 2022, the group captured several towns in North Kivu, with UN experts accusing Rwanda of backing the rebels. In 2023, the EAC-led Nairobi peace process brought brief withdrawals, but fighting soon resumed, prompting SADC to deploy the SAMI DRC force. A ceasefire mediated by Angola in July 2024 failed to halt the violence. In early 2025, M23 launched a major offensive, capturing Goma in January and Bukavu in February, this triggering mass displacement and regional concern. Now, although a preliminary peace deal was signed in mid-2025, ceasefire efforts collapsed, with fighting continuing into late 2025. Now, in December, just recently, leaders of the DRC and Rwanda signed another peace deal in Washington, though the situation still remains fragile. Now, from that, let's talk other diplomatic matters. South Korea is backing Zimbabwe's bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council for the 2027-2028 period. Zimbabwe has already secured the backing of 134 countries in its campaign for a non-permanent UN Security Council seat, this surpassing the minimum threshold of 128 votes required to clinch the post. The United Nations Security Council consists of 5 permanent members, that is, China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, while 10 non-permanent members serve on a rotational basis. Decisions require at least 9 votes out of 15, though any of the 5 permanent members can exercise veto power. South Korea's ambassador to Zimbabwe, Jae Kyung Park, announced the endorsement to Zimbabwe's politics hub.
Exchange visits continued since last year, and also the diplomatic level, I would say the mutual trust has strengthened. One example is we are pleased to support the candidature by Zimbabwe for the UN Security Council member countries, and vice versa. So our diplomatic relations, not just bilaterally, at multilateral level, we are supporting each other.
Ambassador Park noted an improvement in Zimbabwe-South Korea relations following years of inactivity, with this year's trade and people-to-people exchanges expected to surpass what was recorded in previous years.
But more importantly, I would like to highlight the data, the numbers. Numbers means a lot, right? I would say the trade and also the people-to-people exchange. First, the trade level. For the past 30 years, 3 decades, the bilateral trade has been quite dormant at the level of 30 million, at most 40 million. But last year, first time ever, it reached $48 million of bilateral trade. And as of October this year, it reached already 40 million, which means by the end of the year, we expect for the first ever reaching to the $50 million of bilateral trade. And people-to-people exchange is also very promising.
Now, the government of Zimbabwe is set to deploy 157 teachers to Rwanda as Zimbabwe continues to export its educational expertise. The teachers make up a second batch of educators deployed to the East African country after the group of 154 teachers were recruited in 2022. The latest group was taken through an orientation at the pre-departure meeting. The educators were urged to carry themselves as ambassadors representing the country's highly acclaimed education system. We get more details from this report.
Zimbabwe has sent off a group of 157 educators to Rwanda to help address the country's demand for quality education. The teachers who make up the second group to be deployed to the Eastern African country were selected through a competitive recruitment process that attracted 1,300 applicants, with only a tenth of the candidates making the final list. Ahead of their departure, the educators underwent a pre-departure orientation and training focusing on professional conduct, cultural adaptation, and readiness for life and work in Rwanda. The program reflects Zimbabwe's commitment to skills export and stronger bilateral relations. Speaking on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, Chief Director for Labor Administration, Mr. Clifford Matorera, urged the teachers to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, integrity, discipline, and commitment to duty as ambassadors of Zimbabwe's education system.
I will repeat, no confiscation of people's property. Point number one. Number two, do not take a single needle or piece of thread from the masses. Point number three, take it immediately to the authorities.
Ambassador of Rwanda to Zimbabwe, His Excellency James Musoni, highlighted the success of the first phase of the program, which paved the way for the second group under a memorandum of understanding between Zimbabwe and Rwanda aimed at fostering educational exchange.
And to the professionalism, education, and excellence of the Zimbabwean teachers that came in the first cohort. Just to remind everyone that in 2022, that's when Zimbabwe and Rwanda signed a memorandum of understanding that was meant to exchange educational personnel. This first cohort of 157 educators was deployed to Rwanda's education institutions.
Emmanuel Dliwayo, a secondary school teacher from Chipinge and one of the successful applicants, expressed his gratitude to the government of Zimbabwe and encouraged fellow educators to serve with passion and diligence.
To thank the government of Zimbabwe for having trust in us, having going through all the interviews that we went through. This is the day that almost everyone, just like me, was waiting for, a day where we are coming for a pre-departure induction in preparation to go to Rwanda.
As Zimbabwe continues to export its educational expertise, these teachers not only carry knowledge across borders, but also strengthen the ties that bind regional partnership. Their journey reflects a shared vision for quality education and collaboration across the region. For ZTN Prime, I'm Hannah Mapisiri.
Well, you are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Is your company reshaping Zimbabwe's future? Have you launched a groundbreaking product, a revolutionary service, or transformative technology? ZimPapers calls on you to nominate your innovation for the inaugural and prestigious ZimPapers Innovation Awards 2025. This is your platform, your moment to gain national acclaim and showcase how you are moving Zimbabwe forward. Don't just be an innovator, be a vanguard of progress. Nominate yourself or a deserving company now at innovation.awards@zimpapers.co.zw. Nominations close on 30 December 2025. ZimPapers Innovation Awards 2025, championing the ideas that move us forward.
Festive is here, Shah. First Street lights up, and suddenly the vibe is back. It stretches from Harare to Hollywood, even to Old Trafford. Jesse Giri Festive. All I want this festive season? The stories that keep us hooked. The ngoma, the rhythm, the laughter, the drama, the goals, the world-class entertainment that brightens up the holidays for the whole family. All I want is DSTV.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, SADC has dispatched a panel of elders led by former Malawi President Joyce Banda to Madagascar following disturbances a few months ago. The team will start the mission in January of 2026. This was resolved during an extraordinary SADC summit of heads of state and government today. Eben Mabunda was at the State House.
Now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Professor Amon Murwira, on behalf of President Emmerson Mnangagwa, attended a SADC Virtual Extraordinary Summit that took place this very evening with the agenda of assessing the progress in Madagascar following the establishment of a transitional government, as well as an agenda to elect an interim SADC chairperson following the relinquishing of the SADC chairmanship by the interim government in Madagascar. The summit was held under the theme Advancing Industrialization, Agricultural Transformation and Energy Transition for a Resilient SADC, and was preceded by meetings of senior officials and the Council of Ministers with a focus on Madagascar.
The decision we have taken to deploy a panel of elders and mediation reference group to Madagascar evidences and demonstrates our collective commitment to a peaceful and stable region here in Southern Africa.
Leaders agreed to deploy a SADC panel of elders to be led by former Malawian President Joyce Banda to engage all stakeholders in Madagascar and support the restoration of lasting stability. The panel is expected to begin its mission in January of 2026.
Summit approved the deployment of the SADC panel of elders by March 2026, led by Dr. Joyce Banda, former President of the Republic of Malawi, together with the Mediation Reference Group, supported by the Secretariat to facilitate and support the ongoing processes of restoration of political stability, democracy and peace in the Republic of Madagascar.
The summit also directed Madagascar's transitional government to urgently initiate an inclusive national dialogue process owned and driven by the Malagasy people.
Processes that we have announced today and have decided on to enable the people of Madagascar to engage with each other and to have serious dialogue with each other on finding solutions that must be owned by the people of Madagascar.
During the same summit, Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema was elected the new SADC chairperson, taking over from President Ramaphosa following Madagascar's relinquishing of the role. The extraordinary summit reaffirmed the bloc's commitment to peace, stability, and democratic governance while strengthening regional cooperation through leadership renewal and diplomatic engagement. Ibn Mabunda for ZTN Prime, State House.
Now, in news just received, President Emmerson Mnangagwa has appointed Kevin Mutimbanyuka as the new Women Affairs Deputy Minister, while Fred Moyo bounces back as Deputy Mines Minister. He replaces Polite Kambamura, who is now the Minister of Mines and Mining Development. In other news, police in Zimbabwe have confirmed a total of 13 deaths on Zimbabwe's roads this afternoon. According to official statements by the police, 10 people died along the Harare-Nyamapanda road at the 185-kilometer peg near Susque area, this between 11:30 a.m. and midday. Police say a Honda Fit traveling from Mutoko to Kotwa was involved in a head-on collision with a haulage truck heading toward Harare. It is alleged that the Honda Fit encroached into the lane of the oncoming traffic, resulting in the collision. All 10 occupants of the Honda Fit died on the spot. Meanwhile, 3 people were killed while 15 others were injured at around 11:45 hours at the 32.5-kilometer peg along Harare-Mutare Road near Masimba Gardens in Rua. The accident occurred when the right rear tire of a Toyota Hiace Combi burst, resulting in the vehicle overturning before landing on its left side. The Combi had 18 passengers on board. The Zimbabwe Republic Police confirmed this accident. Now, more details are expected in due course. Zimbabwe is expecting a promising 2024-2025 rainy season, with forecasts pointing to a normal to above normal rainfall across most parts of the country. This was reviewed at a National Civil Protection meeting convened by the Department of Civil Protection at the National Disaster Management Center in Harare to assess the preparedness of the peak disaster season. Tafaras Bochiwe gives us more.
With the country in its peak disaster season, the Civil Protection Unit today convened a meeting that brought together key stakeholders in disaster risk management, including the Meteorological Services Department, ZENWA, ZRP, Sub-Aqua, local authorities, and other partners to assess preparedness ahead of the peak rainy season expected to run until March. Meteorological experts say the outlook is favorable, particularly for an agro-based economy such as Zimbabwe's, where rainfall plays a critical role in agricultural productivity.
From the meteorological perspective, we say that in October there will be hardly any activity, and then our season is starting in November, which has happened. In December, we've seen that there's been an increase in our rainfall. The crops are doing very well, as you have heard. So from this meeting, it means that everything is on target.
While the forecast brings optimism, farmers have been urged to remain guided by expert advice to avoid potential losses.
What it means to farmers is that they continue working with the agri-techs, because the agri-techs, they know exactly as the season is progressing. They are also checking the 3-5 days forecast, as well as the weekly forecast, the 10-day forecast. These ones will guide you to know whether for that week there will be a storm, there will be less rainfall.
Authorities, however, warned that excessive rainfall can also pose serious risks in terms of disasters and even waterborne diseases. In Matopos and in Caesar, hailstorms had destroyed over 40 hectares of wheat, while in Gutu, more than 92 families were displaced. More than 25 schools have been destroyed. Clinics and Kame prison have also suffered damage. The CPU expressed concern towards miners, urging them to exercise extreme care during this rainy season.
We also have quite a number of incidences that are happening in the mining sector, because when the ground accumulates a lot of water, it becomes heavy, and then mine collapse do happen. We have quite a number of mines that have been recorded through such, and we are appealing to all those that are in the mining sector to lower down their operations during the rainfall season so that we can be able to save life.
Despite the challenges, the Civil Protection Unit says it is fully prepared to respond to any emergencies.
The Minister of Local Government and Public Affairs, Honorable Garwe, has activated disaster risk management committees at all levels so that they will be up to the task in terms of responding to any emergencies in their areas. We mobilize for humanitarian relief, and we mobilize teams that go for search and rescue. I'm sure you've seen people coming into play for the drowning incidents, where Sub-Aqua has been handy, working with the communities and saving life. And we also have our teams going up and about doing needs assessment and responding with the resources that would have mobilized.
As the rain set in, authorities continue to balance optimism for agricultural growth with caution, calling on communities to stay informed, prepared, and responsive to early warning messages. Tafaras Bochiwe for ZTN Prime.
Now, 24 highway ambulances are said to be stationed along major highways, particularly in accident hotspots, as the government moves to strengthen emergency response services. Part of the ambulance fleet was commissioned earlier today by Transport and Infrastructure Development Minister Felix Mona during a festive season traffic safety campaign in Goromonzi.
The Harare-Nyamapanda Highway, one of the most accident-prone routes, is also set to benefit. Community members living along the highway welcomed the development. Christopher Maganga, who works along the route, said the situation in all major highways required urgent attention.
Ma-accidents achawandisa mumigwagwa. So ndorega rega unotonzwa ma-accidents maviri matatu pachishaya vanhu vakawanda. Singazivi zvimwe zvacho kazhinji zvinokonzerwa nemadrivers edu. Zvimwe zvacho hamene speed yacho ine yakanyanya, saka pakati kachunu hauzokwanisi kukondrola motikari yacho kuti uve unomira panzvimbo imwe chete.
With road accident statistics for the past 11 months already surpassing the total figures recorded in 2024, authorities are not leaving anything to chance.
Watapinda gore rino patakunotarisana nezororo reChristmas negoredzva tinge tiine muono wekubatsira avo vachakuvara panjodzi dzavanosangana nadzo mumugwagwa. Saka nhasi maona tiri pano takabva tamisikidza chirongwa chekutsvaga maambulensi kuti ange achibatsira veruzhinji vachasangana nedambudziko. Saka nhasi ndinofara kuti taona maambulensi auya pano, kwete zvekuti tingorakidza kunyika yeZimbabwe.
Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe Managing Director Munesu Munodawafa said over 400 emergency call-outs will be on standby. He added that all services have been fully paid for and are ready to serve the public.
Ambulances that will be fixed on the areas that we have identified as the accident hotspots in Zimbabwe. In this case, we have mapped about 24 such areas where we will have a full deployment. In other words, there will be ambulances deployed within that region. In addition to that, we also have other ambulances that have been put on call-outs. In other words, they will respond as and when there is need. And in that respect, for the full period, we're looking at potentially over 400.
Law enforcement agencies spoke on their commitment to enforcing traffic regulations and promoting safe driving practices.
We sincerely appeal to all Zimbabweans to observe road traffic rules and ensure that their driving conduct is in line with the country's laws.
One life lost is one too many. With stakeholders intensifying efforts to promote road safety, there is hope that Zimbabweans will worry less about accidents and enjoy a safer festive season and focus on the joy of the jingle bells. For ZTM Prime, I am Sitachi Siwekwaza in Juru.
You are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Harare. Tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, Zimbabwe has commissioned a $2 million plant tissue culture laboratory at Kutsaga, a strategic investment expected to accelerate horticultural production, improve seed quality, and strengthen the national agricultural food systems value chain. The facility is designed to produce high-quality, disease-free planting material, positioning horticulture as a key driver of agro-industrialization, rural transformation, and export growth. ZTN Prime correspondent Mashudu Mambo gives us the details.
Plant tissue culture laboratories play a critical role in modern agriculture. They enable the rapid multiplication of clean, uniform plants, eliminate pests and diseases, conserve rare plant species, and support research under controlled laboratory conditions. The Chief Executive Officer of Kutsaga, Dr. Frank Magama, said the facility is already operating at 60% capacity, producing over 30 horticultural varieties, including potatoes, sweet potatoes, blueberries, avocados, and ornamental crops such as the kangaroo pau. Beyond its primary function, the facility will boost village business units, support smallholder and commercial farmers, and ensure high-quality seedlings are distributed nationwide, strengthening local production and market supply.
This tissue culture facility allows us to produce these seedlings without the need of going to quarantine areas as Nyanga and a few places as what was done in the past. It allows us to produce the seed, the first generations of the seed, in the greenhouse using this tissue culture technology, which ensures that we remove any disease that these tubers they have. Then we take it to our outgrower scheme. Then we produce certified seed for this country.
The launch was running under the theme Towards National Development Strategy 2, Kutsaga Tissue Facility as an accelerator for the Horticultural Recovery Plan and the Agricultural Food System Strategy. The Executive Director for Production and Operations, Mrs. Rodama Vuga, said the tissue culture technology significantly reduces crop maturity periods, enabling faster planting cycles and increased output, a key requirement for a resilient and competitive food system.
Tissue culture is a modern biotechnology technique that involves growing plant cells, tissues, or organs under sterile and controlled conditions to produce new plants. This vital technique capitalizes on the totipotency of plant cells.
Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Enchas Masuga, described the facility as a cornerstone of Zimbabwe's food sovereignty drive, supporting climate-smart, sustainable production systems. Dr. Masuga urged Kutsaga to expand into indigenous horticultural crops, using the facility to clone and commercialize local varieties, enhancing nutrition security and preserving genetic resources.
Agriculture, food systems and rural transformation strategy 2 and NDS 2, we want rapid seed production in order to meet the growing demand locally and abroad. One of the unconventional ways of getting more of the propagating material is through tissue culture, especially for Irish potato and many other horticultural crops. So this tissue culture facility at a capacity of 1 million plantlets is the biggest.
With a growth capacity of up to 1 million plantlets per production cycle and the ability to run multiple cycles annually, the Kutsaga Tissue Culture Facility is set to guarantee a consistent, year-round supply of superior planting material, positioning horticulture as a pillar of Zimbabwe's food security drive. For ZTM Prime, I am Mashudu Mambo in Harare.
Now, in other news, Zimbabwe's youth have been encouraged to participate in the country's economic activities. According to Zimstat, people between the ages of 10 and 35 make up 46% of Zimbabwe's population. Already, initiatives such as the Presidential Youth Empowerment Scheme and the National Youth Empowerment Strategy 2026 to 2030 have been established in a bid to open up opportunities. Speaking at the ongoing Zimbabwe Youth Council's 5-day workshop in Harare, Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Tino Machakaire, encouraged youths to utilize available platforms to empower themselves.
Minister Machakaire emphasized that youth should be a cornerstone to the National Development Strategy 2 beginning next year. He noted that young people should become employers and move away from the dependent syndrome.
Employment. We need to create employment next year in the NDS 2. Those are the key factors that are outlined in the NDS 2. Youth empowerment, youth employment, youth development. This is the game. You are the team. So let's move together. Why do we want to behave as if the country is going to end tomorrow? This country is for you, the young people of Zimbabwe, the leaders of now and tomorrow, not the leaders of tomorrow. You are now the leaders, so you are there to lead. Take the lead. So we cannot lead, we cannot produce the results that we want to achieve when we don't have strategy. This is the strategy meeting that we are having today. And it must give us the direction on where we want to go, what we want to achieve.
Zimbabwe Youth Council Chief Executive Officer Brian Nyangwende reiterated the importance of the strategic meeting as it aligns with the national development objectives. He stressed the need to address issues that have been affecting young people.
How do we then strategize that by the end of 2030 we have that number going down, we have young people engaging, we are wanting to attain an upper middle income economy by Vision 2030, but that cannot happen for as long as we have youths that are engaged in drug and substance abuse, youths that are not using the energy they have to contribute to the national development goals. So we are here, and this is a very important exercise where we have the board, the secretariat, our critical stakeholders coming up with ways to which we can address the issues that young people face in their development. So we are very excited. The Honorable Minister has come and given us strategic development. We are hoping that by the end of Friday, we have a document that then spells out.
Board member Hezo Mandaza praised the minister for promoting the National Development Strategy 2 message. She said she herself is a product of youth empowerment.
I just want to appreciate you for the programs that you are also initiating towards youth empowerment, and also the support you're promising to us as board members and ZYC as a whole, in order to achieve what we really want for the youth in the NDS2. And yeah, I'm one of the people who can attest to the youth empowerment initiative that you're spearheading.
Young people face numerous challenges, and developing initiatives and strategies is a life-saving moment. Youth remain leaders of today and tomorrow. Latwo Nyangu for ZN Prime in Harare.
Now, Zimbabwe commemorates National Unity Day on the 22nd of December, with government calling on citizens to reflect on the values of peace, reconciliation, and national cohesion. The day marks the signing of the Unity Accord in 1987 between ZANU-PF and PF-ZAPU, a historic agreement that helped lay the foundation for lasting political stability. Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Matabeleland South, Albert Nguluve, says Unity Day remains an important reminder of the need for dialogue, tolerance, and peaceful coexistence among Zimbabweans.
We are moving towards Unity Day, which is 22 December. And if you look at this day from my own perspective, we have to consider the mantra of the president when he says, leaving no one, leaving no place behind. That statement on its own is uniting the people of Zimbabwe. Because as we don't leave any other place behind, no one will quarrel, or no one will feel being left behind, or no one will feel being marginalized. So on its own, it now brings people together. But we must also consider that this Unity Day was brought about by two parties which actually went out of this country to fight for the liberation of this country. So as we celebrate the Unity Day, we should also think of those who couldn't make it back home, who made us to be independent today. And we should not divide ourselves, because those who were fighting, they were fighting united, regardless of color, creed, or a tribe.
ZANU-PF National Political Commissar Munyaradzi Machacha says the Unity Accord was a defining moment in Zimbabwe's history, demonstrating that differences can be resolved through engagement and mutual respect, highlighting that the spirit of unity should continue to guide Zimbabweans as the nation works towards shared development goals.
So we encourage peace, we encourage unity. And we also learned this from our own history. We had a period when our country was torn apart with divisions, with violence. And the moment that our leaders, in their wisdom, came together and signed the Unity Accord, we have seen peace prevail, and we have seen uninterrupted, continuous development taking place right across all sectors of our economy and right across all provinces. So for us, peace and unity are essential ingredients that will ensure that our country develops. So we recognize the 22nd of December, the day that the Unity Accord was signed, for that purpose. And we wish that all Zimbabweans can remember this day and make sure we cherish and promote peace wherever we are, and that we love to unite our people in all communities so that together we can work towards developing our country.
And I will look at news from beyond our borders. We started off in South Africa, where the President Cyril Ramaphosa has warned against misinformation that he said is deliberately painting a false picture of South Africa as a deeply divided society. He said such narratives ignore evidence that many South Africans believe race relations have improved since the end of apartheid. His remarks come amid heightened international scrutiny following claims by US President Donald Trump that a so-called white genocide is taking place against Afrikaner farmers. Trump has cited these allegations in justifying an executive order freezing US aid to South Africa and prioritizing white South Africans for refugee status.
Our country's dictators are not talking about the successful land restitution of communities sharing the land and the successful black farmers. They are also not talking about how white farmers continue to support and assist black farmers, and how the number of black farmers who are commercial farmers is increasing on an ongoing basis. Instead, they are painting a false picture designed to sow fear and hatred. We must not let them succeed in their efforts.
An update on the recent flooding experienced in Morocco. Dozens of people were killed, with locals lamenting their losses and highlighting the poor emergency response to the disaster. At least 37 people have been killed in the worst-hit coastal province of Safi after intense rainfall pummeled in the area in a short space of time on Sunday, flooding homes and shops and even seeing vehicles being washed away by powerful torrents. The sudden downpour overwhelmed local drainage systems, leaving local residences and businesses vulnerable to the full force of the flooding, while many roads were completely cut off.
I was at work when the rain began, and the water level rose very quickly. We tried to push the water out, but the force and volume were overwhelming. I lost all my bakery machines, but I survived. The streets were submerged under nearly 3 meters of muddy water. About 50 of us fled and were rescued by neighbors who helped us reach the rooftops.
Over in Sudan, Sudan has topped a global humanitarian crisis watch list for the third year in a row as a devastating civil war continues to grip the country. The International Rescue Committee's annual emergency watch list, published on Tuesday, included 20 countries at risk of worsening humanitarian crises in 2026. Second ranked is the occupied Palestinian territories. Now, the watch list says this is marked by intensifying humanitarian crises and a sharp collapse in global funding to support vulnerable communities. The IRC said many of the multiple conflicts around the world are driven by struggles for power and profit. Now, 35 countries, along with the European Union, have signed a convention to formally launch what is being called the International Claims Commission for Ukraine. The commission seeks to address compensation for damage caused to Ukraine in an ongoing conflict with Russia. It was launched by the Council of Europe and the Dutch government at a conference in The Hague, the Netherlands. Now, the convention will enter into force once it has been ratified by 25 signatories, provided sufficient funds have been secured to support its initial work. And now we take a look at what's happening on the business front.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is a competition. Everything.
So here they come for the opening game, and away we are here at the African Cup of Nations.
Join our family meeting from the 21st of December to the 18th of January. Purchase a decoder for $30 AFCON 2025, live on SuperSport.
Now let's talk what's been happening on the business front. Lager beer prices have risen sharply since the beginning of December as supply shortages begin to bite across several parts of the country. This defies recent assurances by Delta Beverages that the beverages firm would meet festive season demand. Quad bottles of Zambezi are now selling for between $2.25 and $2.50, up from the usual $1.50 and $2 respectively. Castle Lager and Carling Black Label quarts are going for $1.75 and $2 compared to their normal prices. Delta Beverages, however, maintains that there is no crisis and the shortage was artificial. Group Finance Director Mr. Alex Makamure recently dismissed panic buying and price hikes, saying supply remains adequate. Still in business, Zimbabwe is set to attract $160 million in foreign direct investment through a planned 150 megawatt solar power project in Marondera, reinforcing the country's push into renewable energy. The Rufaro Solar Power Project, scheduled for completion in the year 2027, will be developed through a partnership between the Green Rhino Energy and the international renewable energy developer Green Power. Construction is expected to begin next year. Now, the project will supply clean electricity to an estimated 250,000 homes and create over 500 jobs during construction, with permanent employment opportunities during operations and maintenance. Green Power is also developing an additional 60 megawatts solar power project in Torashanga, which plans to integrate battery energy storage systems to support grid stability. Chief financial officers expect prices to rise by an average 4% in 2026, with tariffs and trade policy remaining their top concern, according to a Federal Reserve-backed survey. Now, the survey, conducted by the Federal Reserve Banks of Richmond and Atlanta with Duke University, shows declining confidence in both company performance and the broader U.S. economy in the fourth quarter. While tariff-related risks have eased from earlier peaks, they continue to drive expected price increases, reinforcing concerns at the U.S. Federal Reserve that inflation may remain above its 2% target for longer than what was initially expected. And over in the UK, inflation eased sharply to 3.2% in November, marking its lowest level since March and coming in below market expectations of 3.5%, this according to data from the Office for National Statistics. The decline follows an inflation rate of 3.6% in October and was driven mainly by lower food prices, including reductions in the cost of bakery products and breakfast cereals. Prices for clothing and tobacco also fell during the month, adding to the downward pressure core inflation, which excludes energy, food, alcohol, and tobacco, which slowed to 3.2% from 3.4% in October, indicating easing underlying price pressures from across the economy. The latest figures come as economic growth remains weak, with the UK economy expanding by just 0.1% in the third quarter, while unemployment has risen to 5.1%. And now for some sporting action.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika, like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo afro chakuti ndo music manje no yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say,
So who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus, and now we talk sport. We start off with AFCON. With expectations high and the challenge clearly defined, the Warriors head into the AFCON finals determined to prove their worth as they chase their first ever appearance beyond the group stages of the continental showpiece. Warriors captain Marvelous Nakamba is confident that his charges will fight for the badge and bring positive results.
Yeah, so far so good. I think we're pushing each other in camp. The morale has been high. Everyone is focused, and hopefully we go there for a positive course. Yeah, of course, I think football is about competition. I think each and every group is tough. Of course, we're playing against Egypt's first match, Angola and SA, but I think we just have to focus on ourselves, to have a great game plan and to push each other and fight for the country.
Nakamba added that their focus is on getting beyond the group stages, which will be a rare feat for the Warriors as they have failed to do so in their 5 previous appearances.
Yeah, of course, that's the main focus also for us as football players. We're going there to compete, so I think we just have to believe in ourselves, to give everything with the support also from you guys back home. I think you've been fantastic supporting the team. So now it's up to the players to push each other and fight for the badge, fight for the flag of the country.
Now let's talk chess. All is set for the 4th edition of the CABS Candidates Chess Tournament, scheduled for the 19th to the 22nd of December in Mlayo. Zimbabwe Chess Federation President Todd Mapingire expressed gratitude to CABS for coming on board, as there has been an increased interest in the candidates tournament from all players, starting from the development section to the senior players.
From our perspective, that before previously we would have candidates without sponsorship. Hence, the remuneration or the prize fund would probably be from the registrations. Hence, it was not attractive to national and experienced players. The time frame is 19 to 22, so for someone else to be away from work, we need to have a competitive prize fund. So we are happy and excited that for the players, there is competitive prize fund. And once also that other stakeholders like CBC hear that there's also other stakeholders like CABS involved, they open up doors. Looking at CABS is a very big institution in Zimbabwe. For us also is that it makes our lives easier.
Now, with the Zimbabwe Chess Federation having taken part in a number of tournaments during the course of the year, Mapingire believes it was a year of mixed fortunes for the association.
Okay, for us, it has been a challenging year as Zimbabwe Chess Federation, but we've enjoyed the challenge. It has given us a lot of exposure. It has also exposed us to a lot of other things that we might need to actually improve on as a federation. Normally, when you do nothing, you actually get blamed for nothing because you are doing nothing. But now that we've had all these competitions, they've exposed us to a lot of items that we had also not noted at the first. So experience is the best teacher. So we also hope to improve from this next year. The idea is that we need to give chess to the Zimbabweans as much as everywhere where they are. We're excited that we did all these tournaments, but we still think that there is more room for us to actually reach out to the grassroots. Going to the districts and the provinces instead of only being in the national arena. So we still think that the year ahead will give us more opportunities to reach out to everyone so that we bring everyone else on board.
Now, in netball, after finishing second at the African Netball Cup that was held in Malawi, the Zimbabwe senior men's netball team are delighted with the feat they achieved, as there were a number of challenges along the way. Golden Flyers head coach Talent Museka says his side punched above their weight as they did well to finish second, putting behind them a difficult preparation period.
Effort yatakaisa in a very short space of time nemarezults atakawana zvinyatsoenderana tikanyatsowana mukana wakanaka kuti agara mucamp tripia zvakanaka and training yedu kunyatsoifamba zvakanaka. I think we'll bring up marezults anenge ari nani than zvatakawana because tangoita camping just for a week and some days and takati tisina team yakakwana, vamwe vanga vari committed kumabasa, takazovawana just 2 days to go. Saka I think given enough time togona kuwana marezults akanaka kufura ipapo. I think exposure iyoyi ichatibatsira zvakanyanyisa zvikuru kuti zviri kutiisawo pamap. Even muAfrica tiri kuonekwawo kuti tiri kuitawo zvinooneka. We are fighting against South Africa vane ma-structures anga ari established for a long time. Sezvinhu zvichangotanga, maybe this is our third championship yataenda. Ende machampionship ese atiri kuenda todzoka nemamedal, hapana championship yataenda tisina medal. So I think the more we work, I think we will get better results.
Museka is delighted by the fighting spirit that was exhibited by the side and is confident that it was enough to attract sponsors for future assignments.
It was a tough competition, but takashingirira until tazowana silver medal from the bronze that we had from the previous competition. Kuita silver medal kwatiri kwakakosha zvakanyanya because shows kuti tiri kukura and kuenda in the positive way. I think zvichatibatsirawo even masponsors vachaona kuti tiri vanhu vari kushanda tine direction. I think zvinogona kutibatsira again kuti tizowana vanokwanisa kuzomira nesu kutsvagirawo even sponsorship because ndo chinhu chakanyanya kosha right now. Zvinhu zvedu zvatiri kuita tiri kushanda from well wishers and vari kunzwawo kuda kutibatsira, but tikawana sponsorship I think tinogona kuita zviri better than this.
Well, that's all we had for you on Newsplus this Wednesday evening. But before we can call it a night, a quick look at stories that made the headlines once again. The president today received a special message from DRC President Felix Tshisekedi, updating him on the peace process in that country, reaffirming his country's commitment to the peaceful resolution of the conflict in the eastern part of the central country. South Korea supports Zimbabwe's bid to get a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. South Korea's ambassador to Zimbabwe announced the endorsement to Zimpaper's Politics Hub today. 13 people were killed in 2 separate road traffic accidents on Zimbabwe's Harare-Nyamapanda Road and the others along the Harare-Mutare Road today. Police confirmed these 2 accidents, calling for caution ahead of the festive season. And in sport, excitement is in the air as the Zimbabwe Warriors settle down for the AFCON finals in Morocco. Team captain Marvelous Nakamba is confident his charges are not there to make up the numbers, but rather to bring positive results. And with that, we conclude this bulletin. My name is Faith Nyaude. We leave you with the weather forecast. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.